Ready? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 27th, 2020 meeting of the Danville County Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank everyone for being present. Our meeting situation is a little different than we're normally accustomed to, so please bear with us as we get through this. We are streaming this on YouTube, and hopefully everyone interested will be on that. And if you have questions, you can text those in to Steve, and hopefully we'll be able to answer those. As tradition, we'll begin our meeting in prayer. If you're bound with me, please. Our God and Father in heaven, we thank you for this most beautiful day and all the blessings of it. Thank you for all the health you've given us and keeping us all free from coronavirus. Pray that you continue to do so. We pray for those first responders and healthcare workers as they continue to work to provide the needs of all those that are suffering, that you would bless them, keep them healthy. We pray for our servicemen and women who continue to defend our freedoms. You would bless and protect them and bring them home as soon as possible. We thank you for this country we live in, this community we live in, the freedoms you've blessed us with, the protection you've blessed us with. We pray you continue to do so. Pray to be with us in this meeting today. May the decisions we make be best for the community, best for those that are involved, and be with us as we make those decisions, that we do so to the best of our ability. Continue to watch over and care for us in all things. We pray in Christ's name, amen. First item on the agenda is to approve minutes of February 26, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Terry moves, we approve.
I second.
Vince seconds. Question, discussion. Please all abstain from this being I wasn't present for that meeting. All in favor? Vote unanimous. May have to speak up on the vote, so I have to keep turning around. Financial report, February, March, and April 2020.
All three are in your packet in order, going backwards: March, February, April, March, and February. I'm glad to answer the questions, and I'll just point to the April one because it then catches everything up. You can see all the fund balances on page 1 and 2, and the percentages and the balance sheets on page 3 of that April report. You can see we have approximately $98,000 in the bank at this as of April 30th. And again, I'll be glad to answer any specific questions about any of the finance reports, and I'm going to give you a budget update later on in the meeting.
Questions, discussion on the financial report at this, excuse me, at this point?
Make a motion to approve.
Susie moves, we approve.
Second.
Jeff seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item E, construction sureties.
Yeah, that's in your packet. Again, as every month, and most months I tell you, you know, the city's working on the city side ones. I want to point out Maple Tree Place on there. The city is working on these and actually tells me they're going to have these done in the next couple of months. Maple Tree, though, is gotten substantially more expensive than what we're holding on the 18,000 plus. They think maybe as high as $10,000 more than what we're holding. I told them that's all we have. They're getting quotes. We pay for the engineering, but they've asked if we'd be willing to come up with maybe $4,000 or $5,000 additional, which would have to come out of probably that reserve account that we're holding that we call legal construction in the general fund kind of budget. I'm not really inclined to do that at this time since the budget cuts sort of just, we're still in the budget process. You know, the city's ordering the pipe, and again, I guess they've got a contractor on board who wants just about that full amount just to do the work, and then the pipe is going to be the difference. So I told the city they need to figure out what they can do or not do. We might have to rebid it, but at this point, I don't know we have any more than what we're holding of the developer's cash, which is just short of $19,000. Yes, sir.
Well, we've met with them, group, over a year ago, way over a year ago. And there's been a great deal of procrastination along the way, and you know, somebody, you're ready to go, the community is ready to go for a long time. And, I don't think that the commission should pay for it, the city should pay for it, they're the ones that held it all up.
Yeah, the challenge we had on this one specifically is you don't know what it's gonna cost till you get a bid. We hope you have enough. It's several years in the rear, you know, and they think it may cost as much as $28,000 to get it installed. Again, we spent $5,000 on the revised engineering, as you know. They agreed to get these projects done and get the bids done. So they've done all the bid work too, which is beneficial to us. And they might get a little better deal, but right now their engineering department asked me if we could come up with maybe half the overrun, so to speak. I said, at this point, I talked to you guys, I was leaning to say, not sure we really have it at this point in time, especially with budget cuts coming our way. So, but I think their plan is to get these done. They have contractors ready to go on all of them except Hunt Farm, which is working out on its own. So all the projects you see on here, they'd be completing this summer. And then we eventually, once they're done, they would send us an invoice, and then we would pay the city back the funds we hold in that surety account. There's just more information. I don't think we need a vote. I don't think on that. This is the money we have allocated for that project.
Any other questions on the sureties? Hearing none, the subdivision approvals, item F, we have 14 of those. Are any of them not correct or complete, Lisa?
Yes, there are some that are just for preliminary approval. So
Okay, so we need to take them one at a time.
However you guys want to do it, there's the first 5 got preliminary approval prior, but some of them aren't correct. There's conditions on several of them.
So the first 5 are technically correct? Not.
Except maybe,
No, not the first 5.
Okay,
Unless you said you did get, you got some in today, didn't you, Dan? Not at
yeah, some came
okay, well, let's go one at a time, and
We'll go as fast as
two
we
more.
can.
Okay, Lisa, you want to share those, please?
Okay, the first one is Brian and Emily Baker. They've submitted a subdivision plat to consolidate tracts 2, 3, and 4 of the Brown Estates, creating a single 3.483 acre building lot at 1326 Waterworks Road. Also, the plat also relocates a 25-foot utility easement on the west side of the lot. Property zoned ag, Stephen Carroll surveyor, plat's technically correct and ready to be signed today.
Questions or discussion?
I move we approve.
Terry moves we approve.
Second.
Jeff seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Number 2,
Number 2, William Carver with the Carver Group has submitted a subdivision plat creating 4 condominium lots and 2 common area lots on a shared driveway from Argyle Woods Drive within the villa at Argyle Woods Development. Property totals 0.54 acres, is addressed as 1012 Argyle Woods Drive, zoned RN3, Kendall Wise surveyor, plat's technically correct, ready for final approval and the chair's signature.
questions?
Move we approve.
Terry, is that you, Terry? Okay, Terry moves we approve, and Vince seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Item 3,
Scotty and Dana Sutherland, Jeffrey Sutherland have submitted a subdivision plat creating parcel 1 from the lands of Scotty and Dana Sutherland, combining parcel 1 with tract 3A of Jeffrey Scott Sutherland, making tract 3A total 0.770 acres. Property zoned R1A, Stephen Carroll surveyor. Plat's been corrected and is ready for final approval and chair signature.
Questions or discussion?
Let me explain something on this one real quick that's interesting, just so you all know for the future. A lot of Old Bridge is zoned, what used to be GRA, now it's R1A, single family. That lot size has historically been the same. You can do a 1/4 acre lot in the old GRA or R1A. This is an area not on sewer. So they cut this lot off at a 1/2 acre, and of course the septic wouldn't work. So they're having to come back and add a piece to it, put it at 0.77 acres to make the septic work. But we got in the waterworks area, some other parts of our community that we've got zoned single family. That technically you could create a 1/4 acre lot, but we know that never works for septic. So this is a prime candidate for those conversions we talked about, maybe getting it in the 1 acre district category. But right now there's a ton of property in Old Bridge that could technically be cut off in 1/4 acre increments. It's technically correct for the plat, but it's a due diligence situation when you get to the construction level for septic. So luckily, a family member owned the piece next to it and was able to convey off another 1/4 acre so they could get the septic work.
Any other questions or discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Carrie moves we approve. Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Item 4,
Okay. Forgive me, Rob. We have these out of order.
You know, you gotta serve.
Oh, no, it's not. Okay, I'm sorry, it's under a different name. Brett Gant submitted a subdivision plat for creating 1.154 acre tract, shown as tract B1 at 3450 Cocknoffer Lane.
coconut.
Coconut, thank you. From the other lands of Brett and Tracy Gant, leaving 14.795 acres in the parent tract. It lies on the Boyle-Mercer County line. The tract fronts, how'd you say that again?
Coconut.
Coconut, thank you. And is zoned ag. Kendall Wise surveyor, the plat's technically correct and requires both preliminary and final approval with the chair's signature today.
Questions?
Motion.
Jeff moves we approve.
I'll second.
Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 5,
Okay, next we have Nancy Bailey for the Oscar J. Bailey property, submitted a subdivision tract creating a 63.726 acre farm tract on the north side of Lower Salt River Road at the end of the road. It's being divided from other lands of Oscar J. Bailey, leaving 66.832 acres by deed. Property has frontage on Lower Salt River Road and is zoned ag. John Henry Russ was the surveyor, plat's technically correct, and requires both preliminary and final approval today.
questions?
I move to approve.
Jim moves we approve. Jeff seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Item 6,
Next, we have a subdivision plat submitted by Dallas Pennington for the Irene Pennington Estate, subdividing lot 7 at 5.518 acres, leaving 94 acres remaining in the estate property. It's fronting on Cream Ridge Road in Junction City. Zoned ag. Kendall Wise is a surveyor. Plat's technically correct, ready for preliminary and final approval with the chair's signature today.
questions?
I move to approve.
Jim moves we approve.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 7,
Next, we have Evelyn Rainey has submitted a subdivision plat dividing tract 1A at 1.151 acres. Also at 3216 Coconut Road, thank you all, terrible. It's from the other lands of Rainey. and leaving 49.56 acres. Tract 1A is non-conforming due to an existing barn that is encroaching on the front property setback. The property is zoned ag, Stephen Carroll surveyor, plats technically correct and ready for preliminary and final approval today with chair's signature.
Questions? Think that again about the barn, Lisa.
The barn is in the front setback, the
You see it?
existing barn, so it's a non-conforming tract.
Thank you.
Just barely sticks out in that setback.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Susie moves to approve. Second. Jeff seconds. Question discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 8.
Okay, next we have Patrick and Esmeralda Cooper subdividing tract B at 4.343 acres and tract C at 4.423 acres from the lands of Cooper, leaving 14.959 acres in the parent tract. All parcels are fronting on Mitchell Lane and are zoned ag. Stephen Carroll is the surveyor. Plat requires minor technical corrections, which I guess Steve turned in today.
You got it.
So it's ready for preliminary and final approval with the chair's signature today.
Questions?
I move with approve.
Jim moves to approve. Second. Kent seconds. Question discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 9.
Dickey and Kay Lamb have submitted a plat to subdivide tract B at 1.274 acres from their other properties. The property fronts both First Street and Hamilton Lane in the Mitchellsburg.
You skipped 9.
I did, I'm sorry.
Martha and Mary.
Oh, I did,
David.
yes, I did, so sorry.
That's one wrong.
Okay. Martha Mary Ellen Davis subdividing a 10.043 acre tract shown as A3 from the other lands of Marion Davis. The parcel is to have frontage via a 40-foot strip to Highway 52 or Lancaster Road. The property is zoned ag, the surveyor is AGE, the plat requires technical corrections and is ready for preliminary and final approval.
This one's a little messy for us. That's my
Mhm.
chicken scratch on the next 5 flats, I think. It's got that 40-foot easement that you see, and it's dashed because that's an easement. It also shows a rock wall in there. This would be as you go out of town on 52, it'd be on the right, and they're creating this 10-acre tract behind the tract that fronts most of the road, and there's a cemetery. So the building setbacks are gonna be a little tricky. And there's several technical notes we had on the plat that need to be corrected.
Correct now or needs.
If they can make all these corrections, we think it'll meet our requirements. The easements needs to be clarified a little bit on the easement going to what parcel. East, west, we're not sure. It just dashed as an easement. We're not sure who it's serving at this point.
So we need to move it with the technical corrections being completed.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be approved preliminary and final contingent on all the technical corrections being made.
I'll make that motion.
Jeff moves, we approve. Susie seconds. Approval with technical corrections being completed for final approval. Question, discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Now, item 10.
Now, we have Kay and Vicky Lamb are subdividing tract B at 1.274 acres from their other properties. This property fronts both First Street and Hamilton Lane in the Mitchellsburg community. Property is zoned ag, surveyor's AGE. That requires technical corrections and is ready for preliminary and final approval.
Anything with
A lot of red ink on there.
We had a new box of pens, I guess. No, Lisa and I looked at this one too. This one was a little tricky. Really what's happening is that southern tract is being created for a new home build. Yeah, you got 2 utility easements possibly on top of this. You got 2 front setbacks due to the 2 roads, so it's a tight building footprint on this lot. And then the house that's to the northern side is non-conforming So just technical notes need to be on the plat, to put people on notice, needs a purpose statement, in the future on what all the conditions of the plat are. But the goal is to build a house on that southern track very soon. By Mr. Lamb, I believe, right? Think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Need a motion to approve the technical corrections
Yes,
being
sir.
completed.
So moved.
Jeff makes the motion, Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 11,
We have Mitchell and Joel Dean have submitted a plat to subdivide tract 1A at 0.095 acres from their other properties and to combine it with the neighboring property of Craig Pino. This property is zoned ag and surveyor's AGE. The plat requires technical corrections and is ready for preliminary and final approval. The plat does front Oscar Bradley Road, but where it's being combined, it's not really an issue.
questions? Hearing none, motion to approve the technical corrections.
So moved.
Jeff moves, we approve. Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Item 12,
Michael Arnett has submitted a plat to subdivide tract 4A at 0.056 acres from his property to combine it with the neighboring property of 2101 LLC. The property is located on South Hill Road, is zoned IBD, surveyor is AGE, plat requires technical corrections and requires preliminary and final approval today. Basic,
Go ahead.
but no, you
Go ahead.
explain.
So this 21-1, or what, that's the new assisted living facility that we know is DMK that's going up along the bypass. When they built the retaining wall, they got over in the neighbor's property a couple feet, about 18 or 24 inches. So the option was to either remove the retaining wall or buy a sliver from the neighbor, which is the Marble Place, it sits back there on the hill. So that's what's happening here. They've worked out a deal to buy just a few feet to add to the DMK property.
Motion to approve.
technical corrections needed.
Second.
And Vince seconds. Jeff makes the motion to approve, Vince seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve with technical corrections. Hearing none, all in favor, vote unanimous. Item 13,
Next, we have Control Wiring, who have applied to subdivide tract 1C at 1.704 acres from its other properties that lie between Highway 127 and Harrisburg Road. The property is zoned ag, surveyor's AGE, plat needs technical corrections and requires preliminary and final approval. And this is where they are building the dog kennel, grooming center or.
questions? You said this is technically correct or not?
It is not technically
Not.
correct.
Thank you. Motion to approve with
Well, this
technical
was
correction.
already underway.
It is underway. They own the bigger farm tract, and now their desire is to carve off a piece for just where the kennel is and transfer it to a different corporation. It's the kennel operator. They still would have 45 plus acres on the farm.
Other questions?
And the property has everything that's related to the kennel on that 1.7 acres.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Jeff moves to approve technical corrections. Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Thank you. Item 14,
Okay, we have Matthew Condit has applied to combine his tracts 1A and 1B, the total tract 1 at 1.098 acres. The tract fronts East First Street in Perryville. The parcel is split zoned, commercial business and R1A. The surveyor's vantage. The plat is correct and requires preliminary and final approval with the chair's signature today.
Questions? Jim moves to approve.
Well, second.
Who second?
Jeff?
Jeff seconds, okay. Jeff seconds, question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous, thank you. Item G, new business advisory committee report. We have not met, have we?
No,
Yeah,
I put this under that, because I'm gonna go over what the advisory committee needs to consider.
Okay.
And you guys sort of met on this. So what that says under number one is fiscal court text amendment request. Now, the advisory committee did meet back, I think, in January, and I brought this up to you guys. There's been a request that we, even after the zoning ordinance has been revised, there's been a request by a private business that we consider changing distilled spirit storage, or rick houses as we know them, where they would be allowed in the agricultural district. And at that time, the proposal was based on the Nelson County model, where they allowed to go out in the ag district either by right with rules or as a conditional use requirement that would go to the Board of Adjustments with rules. And we looked at that briefly at that advisory committee, and the request was, would we consider pushing this forward as another text amendment? And the advisory committee, as you all remember, said we preferred to let the city and the county give us a directive on that. We were kind of still studying it, felt a little odd to us. We needed some more research. So the fiscal court has met twice on this issue. And the first time they met, they discussed it at length and decided not to pursue such a directive. And then they met again and decided to request we pursue such a directive. So where this is today is we're not here to make a decision other than I'm supposed to prepare a paragraph based on the Nelson County model and put it for a public hearing, in the realm of a public hearing, to get public feedback on all sides, as well as you all consider it fairly, I guess, and the best we can in the context of our new ordinance and format. So that's where I'm trying to figure out where it fits. But the idea would be there would be a paragraph that says you could do distilled spirit storage in some capacity, some level, some scale in the agricultural district without pursuing the zone change to industrial, which has been the traditional way we've approved the distilleries here in this community. So I'm working on that. The public hearing would be similar to text amendment. You know, the one we did it for 3 months on the whole ordinance. The problem is, how do we have a text amendment hearing where clearly the public's going to probably want to weigh in on both sides in this format without the citizens being in the room? So I'm thinking this is just going to have to happen later in the summer when we get to the point where we can have other live bodies into the room where there can be testimony on all sides. So I'm just giving you an update that we've got a clear directive from the fiscal court to pursue such action, to create an amendment to the county ordinance at this time to allow distilled spirit storage in agricultural zones, which could be anywhere in the county, with specific rules. And the Nelson County model is has minimum acreage size, has sprinkler requirements, pretty much caps on buildings, and that's about it. So in theory, you could have a 100-acre tract or 50-acre tract, and you could put hundreds of thousands square foot of buildings on the ground with specific rules and setbacks in Nelson County without having to zone it industrial. So that request started with the distilled spirit industry here in our community through EDP, some degree, to fiscal court, back to us. And the advisory committee is the first landing point where y'all talk about text amendments. In this case, since we have a clear directive from one of our parent governments to pursue such an amendment, I think we just put it on for a public hearing at some point in the future, bring all the parties in, have a debate, and ultimately you all will make a decision, which then goes to the government, and then they make a decision. I think our opinion at this point is kind of premature. I've got to get the text in front of you guys, and then we need to have a full-blown public hearing on it.
Questions? Henry, a comment on that?
Yeah, Henry, anything on the process I missed or?
No, I think right now our tech limits are such that we can't have a Zoom meeting in here or something like that that would facilitate public input.
Yeah.
And since we don't have that, that's probably the prudent thing to wait on it and not do some kind of halfway measure that people could challenge with their.
Could we, Henry, could we start the hearing, advertise the hearing? Let's say had it in July maybe. And if we're still in this limitation, table, I explain it to the commission. We have some debate, but then we table and take comments, or maybe at that point we can actually see how many people want to come testify and we could bring them in. They couldn't hear the whole discussion, I guess, is the problem I see.
That's part of the problem. I mean, that's something we could do if we push to get this thing through. The other concern is that something we've had before where we table an item, but then are we gonna have the same members present at the next meeting in order to vote on it?
They wanted this done by Labor Day, and I just don't see how we have a public hearing in this format when I know there's citizens that want to testify on both sides, for and against.
So I suggest we just do our due diligence, we get prepared for it, and then let the circumstances.
Maybe July, maybe August. I think at some point we're going to be able to have groups of 50 at some point. You would think we could have a public meeting. I don't know how we social distance with a group of 50 in this room.
Right.
But we could meet at a different location that we know we could have, we never really would have 50 people attend. And maybe there's a place, the school or something where we could meet.
RCC, we use their facilities, but.
And then we could just have a regular meeting at some point if you're person number 51, you have to stand outside the glass or something. But I think we could probably pull this off in summer, I think. And I'll just get you all the text as soon as possible, and you guys can start studying, and I'll get you the Nelson County model. We're still trying to figure out where it goes in our book. So.
Other questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, item 2, Personnel Committee report.
Yeah, this one's tricky, and we got something in your packet. It looks like this, a benefits manual. We got to make some fixes here. Let me tell you why this is in front of you. In April, the city sent us a letter, a termination letter, taking us off all their benefit plans related to health, dental, life, and vision. We've piggybacked on the city's plans for a number of years. They've either changed carriers or something. I don't know the particular details other than their healthcare fund is now self-funded. They did that a year ago in May. They made a determination that non-city employees cannot be on the healthcare fund, which we were, even though we paid our own way, we were piggybacking on their benefit. Now that same justification doesn't really work with dental, life, or vision because they're not self-funded. They're using Delta Dental and whoever on life, and we were paying our own way on that too. But they just terminated all lines of coverages effective May 1. So May 1, we were potentially without healthcare coverage in the middle of a health crisis. At least not pretty healthy, so we're okay. So we went shopping in April, making no headway. Commissioner Baird got me in touch with a gentleman here in town, John Funkhauser, who took the lead on this. And we're already with Johnson Pullman on several of our insurance lines outside of our personnel stuff. He got with the Kentucky League of Cities and found us a plan for dental and health for 2 months because their plan year is July to June, and got us a plan in place May 1. I ran it by the personnel committee on what you guys wanted to do. It is more expensive. And what our benefit manual does is it lays out how much you guys allocate. Basically, the planning commission pays for a single plan. But we did cap how much money that was a month. Now it's gone up substantially higher for a single plan, and the benefit manual needs to be amended to reflect those new numbers. And we also have to delete a paragraph related. We had a waiver option where if I wanted to just drop out of the healthcare and go get my own, we had a policy in there where we could do that. But since we're now a group of 2, with KLC, if one of us drops out, it would void out the other insurance. If we had 3 or 4 or 5 employees, we could still have such a policy because one could say, look, I'll go buy my own, but we have to at least have 2 on the plan or it voids out the plan. So we need to make corrections to the benefits manual to reflect these changes. After talking with the personnel committee, we're no longer going to offer life or vision at this point in time. We couldn't find a policy that was affordable. So we've got a dental policy and a healthcare policy, single only. The health is more, it's an Anthem plan. It's more of a catastrophic style, high deductible style plan with some copay options in there. And it's gonna cost us about $100 more a month per employee. So about $200 more a month is what it's gonna cost us. So that's reflected in the benefits manual. You guys wanna look through that, you can see what's in the benefits manual. In red is what's changing. And again, the planning commission doesn't contribute employee spouse, employee children, family. We just pay a flat amount for single. The employee pick up the difference. Lisa and I are both currently on a single plan. So we need to make this change to the benefit manual retroactive to May 1st. And we do have plans in place that we did through the authority of the personnel committee telling me to go ahead and sign off. That bill is ready to go and in the bill file here, Jerry needs to sign. And we're paying for 2 months. And we have to go back shopping again. So come June, we need to sit down with Mr. Funkhauser and redo the whole process. And he's warning me getting good premiums in the middle of this nationwide crisis is going to be a challenge for us, for a group of 2. So that's what you guys need to act on today is to approve the changes to the benefit manual. We've eliminated that paragraph where we can waive our health care. We've eliminated the vision, all references to vision and life insurance policies. And so there would just be dental and health for Lisa and I right now.
Questions?
So this is an approval for 2 months and then you'll be back again?
2 month approval, and then the personnel committee will get you some quotes, and we'll sit down in June and we'll study up. There were tons of options. We're with the Kentucky League of Cities, ironically enough, which is who we were with before the city went self-funded. So they were with the League of Cities for health and dental.
Other questions?
My question, if you look at piggybacking on the county,
We talked to them and they didn't have enough time to really make a decision. It happened so quick. They had the same kind of concern. They're self-funded also on health. I don't know if they are in dental. I guess that's the issue, is bringing non-employees in on a self-funded plan brings risk to their plan, is what we were told, as non-employees. So in the future, we're just going to have to go out and find a plan that fits a group of 2.
Jeff?
I like the motion.
Jeff moves we approve. Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? It's unanimous. Item 3, budget committee report.
Again, not formal report, just an update. The budget is still in process. We submitted the preliminary budget, the city and the county, and if you guys have been following, I don't know if this is making the paper as consistent as before. The city has proposed a 33% cut on our budget, third, and the county just last week actually approved just a $5,000. So it comes out to 4 or 5%, something of that nature. The city's still discussing agency funding. The city manager's proposal did not allocate any agency funding for, I think, 23 different agencies in this community except for us at $50,000. So at this point, we're looking at, if everything holds true, we'd be looking at a $30,000 cut on our $150,000 between the city and the county. It's 20%. And we'll just have to revise our final budget when we get those numbers and just tweak the whole budget and figure out how we make that happen. We're obviously going to have to dig into our carryover accounts.
You mentioned you were going to talk to the city about rent.
Yeah, the rent is an option. We offered that up a few years back. We've lowered fees. That's what's, I think, tough right now. Is we've cut our budget fairly substantially over the last 2 fiscal years, just being diligent, having extra carryover. And we offered up rent, so maybe there's a way we can trade off some services or some things to sort of build that back. I think the challenge the agencies that are out there having is those that have sizable carryovers, it was noted. And they had a budget meeting in this room last night from 3 to 5 about agency issues, and I think it was talked, several have sizable savings accounts. And that's the way they're gonna get through this next year. But again, there were 23 agencies, I think $490,000 in requests. They only funded one at $50,000, that was us. It'd be nice if it was a little higher, that's 33% cuts, a little tough. But county softened the blow by just cutting us 5,000. And they cut several agencies, different amounts, it's more random across the board. I don't know what to do, but bring the budget committee back in June, once we hear the final numbers, and we'll just sort of tweak the whole final budget and hopefully get it passed at our June meeting before July 1.
How did the revenues on,
Interesting enough, we had a good year revenue-wise. Like you're seeing, we exceeded our estimates, especially on zoning permits. We saved $7,000 the last quarter. Nothing unique, just some things came in lower. We haven't used near the Bluegrass ad, GIS. We also never really pushed that money back that we were going to do the reimbursement to the city and county. That was supposed to happen after the quarter. So by not spending that $15,000 and the revenues come in, our carryover is projected to be almost $20,000 higher than we did in the preliminary budget. So we're looking to carry over about $95,000.
so basically the money we're gonna get back to the cities, we're kind of swapping it.
Exactly. Yeah, we were going to do a 10% refund back to both. And we probably had enough to do a little more than that. The interesting thing is we do have some pending litigation that we're going to talk about soon. These construction projects. So our carryover, we're going to keep a 10% real carryover. The rest is really safety money for the pipeline. We talked about that kind of stuff in the past. So we're going to be digging into that carryover line. Escrow account is what the plan is to offset the budget. Terry and I talked about this. When you look at the budget right now, revenues, expenditures, we're about $40,000 in red. That's not a good feeling. The carryover is a safety net. And again, we've got close to 100,000 in the bank right now today. But when you set the budget, pretend there's no savings. To set a budget where you got $150,000 in revenue, $190,000 in expenditures is not a good feeling. And it's not going to last 1 year. And then hopefully next year, the appropriations come back. And the other domino of that is our fees have to come in this year on target. So hopefully they do. But that would be interesting to see what kind of construction evolves over the course of this year, which our zoning permits is our biggest fee driver. I think we figure it out.
Other questions?
We have to give y'all pay cut.
Yeah.
We will do this.
Item 4 is a closed session, and we need a motion to go into closed session to discuss. Henry, you want to word that for us, please?
And if you just someone wants to make a motion, say that we're gonna be discussing pending litigation per KRS chapter 61.
So moved.
Jeff makes a motion that we go into closed session as Henry stated. Need a second. Susie seconds. All in favor? Motion's unanimous.
Give the IT guy a minute to
Ready? Thank you. Need a motion to go back into regular session.
So moved.
Jeff moves. Vince seconds. All in favor? Vote unanimous.
And we just put on the record that no final action is taken.
And for the record, no action was taken in the executive session. We only had discussion with regard to the legal proceedings that was announced for that closed session. Any other good for the order? Need a motion to adjourn? So moved. Jeff moves.